These art classes are by Splash, a youth arts workshop. In this video, we show you how to draw a face using pencil.
Hello, everybody. Hey, it's Charlie Newton here again with a live Splash Art Studio. We're going to draw a face today. I'm going to draw a face of a child today. So I'm going to jump right into this. All you need is a number 2 pencil. That's the regular pencils that you use in school. So get your number 2 pencil, and we're going to see how much we can pull out of a number 2 lead. You know, usually we will use our drawing pencils. We'll use the H or HB, 2H. Then we would use a 2B, 4B, maybe a 6 or 8B. But you want to pull everything from your pencil, each lead that you can. And when you do a finished drawing, a complete drawing, if you want realistic details, that's what you'll use. Your ability to get a whole lot of different grades. So let's get started. As a refresher, I'm going to show you first what's in my head. So I'm going to show you, I want to remind you of the basic shapes that we use. Okay, so we're going to use an oval that looks like an egg. Oops, I didn't do a good job of that. That's okay. The main thing is the top part, this part up here, is larger than the bottom part. This is going to be the chin down here. This is the head. Okay, then in the middle of that, there's a line. Then there's another line in the middle of that line. Then very close to this line, there's a line here for the mouth. So these would be the eyes. This is a line for the nose, mouth, M-O-U-T-H, mouth. Okay. And then there's a line down the center. And let's do another one. So this is what I'm thinking about when I'm drawing the head. So it's larger on top. So you can practice drawing an egg shape. Line in the middle of that. Then 3/4 of the way, or there's another line here. Also remember there's a line down the center, imaginary line. Now you can draw these lines very lightly if you like. Now here's the thing, when you first start measuring, the distance between the eyes, you want to get that correct. So the distance between the eyes for a human being is 1 eye. 1 eyelid. This is the distance, this space here equals the size of that eye. Then the nose is on this line, and the mouth is on this line. Usually the ears are between the nose and the eyes. Unless the person is looking down, then the ears were going to be higher, a little bit higher. If the person's looking up, then the ears are going to be a little bit lower. The person I'm going to draw is going to be looking down because I'm going to draw one of my students drawing. Okay. So let's find a clean sheet. And we can get started. So I'm just using number 2 pencil. What I've done is I have sharpened 3 pencils just in case. So the first thing I'm going to do is sketch this face. I want you to follow me, so we're not putting the face up on the screen. We're not putting this face on the screen because I want you to really see what I'm doing, sort of follow me. So I've just sketched the egg shape very lightly. Now, With this person, the person is looking down slightly because she's drawing. And this is one of my students. She's probably around 10. And so this line that's in the center, I'm going to allow it to bend a little bit to show perspective. It's bending a little bit. I wish I had an egg shape here to show you. And the line for the nose is bending a little bit. Now, these lines I'm making, this is just the basics. Every human being is slightly different, but these are the basics so that you can see. Now, this line on the top, it bends right here to show the top of her head as it comes down to her chin. It bends a little bit. I know this might be difficult for you to see. So I do have to use my eyes. And with all the drawing practice we do, that's what happens. We begin to see better. We don't just look at something, we see. Now, this is what I try to do is find landmarks for me to start. And the corner of her right eye, but it's to our left, that's a landmark for me. Now everything, this first mark that I made, I'm going to make everything sort of line up with this first mark. So she's looking down, so her eyes appear to be closed. So her eyelid is she's actually looking down. It's not actually closed. So there's a bent line, it's not straight. And by using these lines that bend, by seeing the bend of lines and the direction of lines, I'm drawing her eyebrows now. I'm trying to draw what I see. So I like her eyes, even though it's shut. I like what her eyelids do. There's a little line there. I like that little thing, so I'm going to accentuate that. And there's space between her eyes and her nose. It's usually about the distance of one eye, but with her, it's not going to be quite that wide. So I'm sketching. I'm going to just periodically put up some contour drawing. I almost did contour drawing today. The tool that you need is the contour and the gesture drawing. Now for young kids and for kids in school, I know it's hard for you. You don't have that type of discipline to do the contour drawing because you don't get instant gratification. So it's difficult for you to have that type of discipline. In art class, if you was coming to art class, we would do contour drawing, maybe for and gesture drawing. But you actually need a lot of that. For teenagers, it's easier for them to do it. I'm actually measuring everything. I'm using my eye. I'm going to show you, I'm drawing from my phone, so I'm going to put my pencil up here to get the angle of her nostril to the corner of her eye, because that's a very important angle. So if my pencil is like this, I leave it like that and put it on my paper and see where that intersection is, and it's about right there. And I'm doing, this is called measuring. I do the same thing on the opposite side. So see, I didn't move my pencil. I kept my pencil at that angle. And then I eye that in. And the nose is going to be around there somewhere. Now remember, when making art, drawing, or painting, you can change anything. Nothing's set in stone. You can always make changes. I could do this better if I wasn't talking. But now is the time when you want to concentrate. What I'm doing now, as my pencil touched the paper, I'm imagining that this is a three-dimensional person and I'm touching her face. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. I want my pencil to be very light. I'm sketching now. I may be doing a little bit more detail than I want to, but I want this picture to look like this young lady. And so I'm trying to pay attention to all the details. Now, practice make perfect. If I was still doing portraits, uh, this drawing would come out much better than it's going to today. And it's because the more you do, the better you get. So when you're sketching, you have a lot of lines, and that's good because now you have something to choose from. Lines to choose from. Which lines do you want it to use in the end? I will say this too. I'm what's called an eclectic artist. So I never do anything the same way all the time. Every time I approach a work of art, I use different techniques, slightly different. And I've noticed that I'm using a slightly different technique for this drawing. And the reason why, I know why I'm using a slightly different technique than I normally would, is because I want to pull a lot out of this pencil. Now I'm sitting a little bit to the right of this drawing pad. Actually, if I should be sitting right here, but I'm sitting a little bit to the right so that you can see, so that you can look over my shoulder. So I'm sitting at a slight angle, and I really don't like this angle, but I'm going to change it and see if this mess anything up. You always want to control everything. Control the subject. Sometimes the person will move when you're drawing them, and you have to know when they move and tell them and get them to move back to where they need to be for the picture. Wherever you started drawing them, they need to stay in that position. So I just measured where I think the corners of her mouth is going to be. I measured that against her eyes. So if I drew a straight line from here to there, and if I drew a straight line from here to here, then that's sort of like where I think the corner of her mouth is. And underneath her lip, there's an angle. And there's an indentation right in here. And that's with everybody. Well, some people don't have an indentation that's so pronounced. It like sinks in. It's like an M. So now I'm not using this initial sketch. I'm using what I see as far as my drawing. Now, I'm going to erase that line, just get it out of the way. I'm using what I've already drawn now as my diagram, if you will, to know where everything goes. Now you may do it a different way, and it's fine. I'm not showing you the way to do this. I'm showing you a way to do it. One way. This is just one way of millions of ways. And it's interesting. I like to watch other artists draw because they use different techniques and they have a different way of doing it than I do. So I'm just, every little detail I'm just kind of noticing now. And the things that interest me the most about this face, I'm trying to make sure that I get that. Like how her chin turns back under her face. That's going to help describe her portrait and her jawline. She's young, that jawline. And the size of her head. The younger your model is, the larger their head is going to appear to be. So a baby will have a huge head. So her skin sort of folds under her lip, her bottom lip a little bit. And that's a sign of her youth as well. So I made her eyes too big. So now I'm going back and critiquing what I've already done. Gonna move her face, make her face a little slimmer. I probably made her nose a little bit too big too. Move this eye in a little bit. I see a lot of changes that I want to make. So I'm just going to make them now. Making her nose smaller, and I'm moving it up some. Notice I'm using line variation. And when I vary my line, I'm making mental notes to myself of what I see or what I think I see. That's why I tell kids don't draw heavy. Just draw lightly at first because you're going to give yourself the opportunity to make changes. It's kind of like sculpting with clay. You're going to make changes as you're sculpting. So drawing is like sculpting. And drawing is also like dancing. You're modeling, and it's like sculpting in that you are modeling, trying to shape, make shapes, draw shapes and volumes. It's like dance in that you are using lines. The lines are important. You're making lines. It's like music in that your shading have different variations like color. So I never assume that I've done it correctly. But in the end, I want this shape. There's a certain overall feeling that the shape of her head has. And if I can get that overall feeling down, then it's going to look more like her. So the bottom of her ear starts here because she's looking down. Remember I told you that the ear would be higher. Would appear to be higher. It's not actually higher, but because she's looking down, it appears to be higher. She has a distinct shape of her earlobe, and so by capturing that, I'm sort of capturing her. I spend a little bit so much time on that ear that I hope I don't have to change it. I'm going to bring this side of her face in even more, I think. Try to stay loose when you're drawing. I don't need to erase any of these lines over here because I'm going to put shading in the background. I probably won't erase any of these either. I'm going to allow my sketch to show through because it's kind of interesting to me anyway. Now I'm just touching her head with my eyes. want this space to be pretty clean in here. The light is going to hit that area. I'm going to come back in with some shading. I'm going to do it slowly. I'm going to let this drawing be whatever it wants to be. And so I have no preconceived notions about what this drawing is going to look like. And what that does is frees me up to be creative. I try to draw actually each hair of the eyebrow when I draw the eyebrows. I'm not going to blend with my fingers. You know how some people draw with pencil and blend with the with your fingers? It's okay to do that, but I suggest don't do that until you can use your cross hatching. So at this stage, you should not be blending with your fingers. You can blend with a stump, but I prefer you to wait a few years so that you're using your fingers or a cloth or a stump because it's a control thing, not because it's easy for you to shade that way. So normally you would use an art gun to erase, but if you're using your pencil that you use in school, you don't have an art gun. So you can erase and then blow off the residual or just get a brush and brush it off. Don't brush it off with your hands though. You really don't want you really want to try to keep your hands off the picture. To me, the beauty of this drawing is going to be line, hopefully. You know, sometimes I'm using the side of my pencil, and not always. I didn't like that line. I made that line by mistake. I'm not going to erase it yet. Sometimes mistakes can work in your favor. And if it bothers me later on, I'll erase it. such a hurry to erase. Uh, I prefer using the eraser just to clean up, to clean the drawing, or to put in highlights. But I don't like using eraser. I think I messed up or something like that. But sometimes you have to. I understand. But resist using your eraser. In Splash class, none of our pencils have erasers on them. By learning to fix things, you become a better artist. So I think that when I'm working on now the nose for this drawing, it's going to be the most important part of the drawing. I'm going to go and get it. I'm going to use a different pencil now. This is number 2, the same pencil, but hopefully this pencil has more of a lead on it. I mentioned this before. The material that you're using, kids, is important. It's like, what is the material? Why are you using that material or medium, pencil? Why use a pencil? Why not use an ink pen? Or why not paint it? Or why not use charcoal? So you want to show the medium, what the medium will do. Now again, this is just one looking at it, but you, it's good that you are able to do something even if you choose not to. Sometimes people choose not to do things because they can't. But if you work on it and practice and have fun, I mean, you can learn so much by just having fun and not being too judgmental about what you're doing. I know that's difficult to not be too judgmental because you want to be successful, I know, with everything that you do, but you won't be successful with everything. Okay, I'm going to have to change this ear, the position of this ear a little bit. I'm going to have to move it out. Redraw it. I'm going to redraw this ear. Move it out to the side a little bit more. I thought I might have to when I first drew it, but I wanted to wait to see. Now in my mind, I'm doing contour drawing, touching the side of her head. As my eye moves up, my pencil moves. She's going to have a ribbon on her head. Okay. I'm going to another pencil, see how I'm using my lead up. Now I know this is sort of advanced, and in the future, next week we're gonna do some things for the younger kids. I don't really like what I'm doing now because I think I made her nose too long. Don't you agree, Ayantha? I made her nose too long, so I'm gonna move her nose. See if I can. That's why you have to practice. I tell you, practice make perfect. The more you do it, the better you get. And that's the same for me. If I stop doing something for a while, then I have to get my chops back, sort of like a musician. So I'm gonna move her nose up. I have to move everything up. Everything down here I have to move up. So normally you would use a kneaded eraser to do this, okay? I'm gonna just move everything up. You wouldn't normally use your a red rubber to do this, red rubber eraser like I'm doing. But if all you have is your school pencil, you have to do this way. Well, kneaded eraser is cleaner. Which one? This one? Oops. I'm going to mention this too. Normally I would not have sketched in this oval shape. I would have it in my mind, but I wouldn't actually sketch it on the page. But when you're first starting out, you sketch things in like that so that sort of train yourself. So you see, I just changed the nose, moved it up a little bit. So I have to move everything up. I have to move the mouth up. I'm just using hatch marks now. I've done some cross hatching, but most of this I'm using hatch marks for the shadows. I'm also using hatch marks to show the turn of the face and the landscape of the face, the lips, the bumps and the lumps and how things curve around. So these curved marks right here show that the lips are full and the direction of the lips. Now going underneath here, shadows. just like clay, I'm still modeling. So moving everything up, including the chin. And as far as your art, do whatever it takes to make it work. Just make it work. That's the thing. So sometimes you have to go back. I'm moving her shirt up. I hadn't done much on the shirt anyway. And by the way, the, sometimes the lines that you use to make changes, they can give the artwork character. Because this is like an investigation. Every time we do something, it's like we are investigating. We asking ourselves, what do we see? You know, how do we see it? So I'm letting my hatch marks curve around a little bit for her neck. So sometimes I'm describing the curve of her neck, and sometimes I'm describing the shadow under her neck with the marks I'm making. I'm thinking about both of those things. I need a skinny line, heavy skinny line here. Just about time for me to stop. I'm shading with the side of my pencil now. And I'm still thinking about the curve of her face as well as the shadows. So I want her face to turn under. That means more light is hitting her face from the top than the bottom. All this is a number 2 pencil. So to make some of these shadows darker, I just crosshatch. Oh, by the way, I love natural eye, eyebrows. The way God gave you your eyebrows, nothing can match that. These eyebrows that look so perfect, and they're so uninteresting for the artistic eye. But the difference in the eyebrows, like I like how her eyebrows kind of fade off a little bit. I mean, I just like the way humans are made. I mean, just think about that sometimes. You're unique the way you're made, and everyone really is beautiful. There's a shadow that's cast underneath her nose. I want to accentuate that. Now, for all intents and purposes, that's finished. Nothing but finishing touches to do, but the picture is actually finished. The important parts of the picture has been figured out for today. I'm sure I'll go back and look and say, oh, I should have done something differently. But for this picture today, for what I'm doing today, it's all been figured out. I may finish the hair, I may not. I'm going to do more to the hair, but you don't have to draw everything. You're not trying to do a photograph. You want it to look artistic somehow. And sometimes what you leave out is just as important as what you put in. I'm definitely going to draw this hairline, but I don't know how much of it I'm going to draw. So I'm doing it slowly. So I'm only using 3 pencils, so I'm going back and forth now with my pencils. But I'm using 3 pencils, but they are all number 2. They're the same pencil. But since I'm losing the lead on my pencils, because I'm making a lot of marks. No lead left on that pencil. I'm putting a heavy line here, right there, to describe it turns back. I'm not so interested in showing, just black hair, just a flat black hair there. I just want to indicate, I think everybody, anybody will know that, okay, she has black hair. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. I think I'm in a good stopping place. So this is a sketch. A sketch like this could be used for a painting or a study for a painting. Maybe this person is going to be in the background of a painting. I don't know. Or it could just be a sketch for, just for fun. Put my initials here. And that's it. I'm going to stop right there. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed drawing with me, and I hope you learned something. I hope that you noticed that, make changes when you're doing your art. Nothing's set in stone. So the more you look, the more you see, and you're going to change your mind. And when you change your mind, you don't like something, change it. And that's how you can grow and shape, and that's how you model your picture. It's been fun. I'm Charlie Newton, and this is Splash Free Art Class. Remember, art is for everyone. Bye-bye. See you next time.